Let's get to it.
YouTube, what is going on? Tis Mesa Sean, back at it with some Destiny, and I'm here with the wonderful General Byf from Her Majesty's Byf Forces in the UK. Say hello, Byf.
Greetings, good sir. How are you doing?
Doing very well. So, we're going to do something a little different today. We're going to talk about our recent trip to Seattle, but most importantly, we want to talk about the Trials of Osiris. So, I'm going to let Byf kind of take it off, because we're going to give you two perspectives here. See, Byf, if you didn't already know, he's the Crucible master, and I weep when I look at his combat record, but I'm more the average casual player, so we're going to try to give you some of our thoughts and opinions on both perspectives, from being a beast as well as your average player. Will you enjoy it? What can you get out of it? So why don't we start off with you, Byf, and what can the beasts expect from the Trials of Osiris?
Well, basically the Trials is just intense. It's maddeningly intense. Like, I loved the time when we played Trials at Bungie, because you had constantly this air of competition to you. Now, this is obviously going to be different from anybody who's just playing it naturally over the match-made system, but we had, a whole tournament set up within the studio. We had, 5 teams plus Team Bungie. Whichever teams eventually won would go on to face the final boss, Team Bungie, and yeah, it was just so cool, because you had this huge competitive atmosphere, and just throwing yourself into that felt amazing. I feel like anybody who does play Crucible for their gaming fix, even if they are, not like the highest 1% of Crucible where you've got a 3-point KD, if you're someone who's got, say, a 1.6 KD or above, I think, this is going to be your jam. Because the game mode, elimination, the way that they handle everything, just even everything down to the drums that they have at the end of every single point, it's built on this idea of intensity. You have got to fight for every single point of ground, and it's just amazing. I love it so much, dude.
Yeah. And key factor is that it's not a glorified skirmish. That's the thing that people really need to understand, and that's what really builds up the intensity, is because it's done on rounds, okay? And it's basically first one to reach 5 is going to win. And what'd you say, there a max of 9 rounds, I believe?
Oh yeah, so you can go 4 and 4, and then there's a final round to decide it all. So yeah, 9 rounds. But also in scoring systems, when one team reaches 3 points, the round will then turn into a heavy ammo round, and so heavy ammo is going to spawn at one of the points. So you could be down by 3 points, the enemy team has just reached it, and you could start to pull yourself back with that heavy ammo, or alternatively, you could be kind of in the, you could be in the lead or tied with it, and that's the point at which it really does decide the flow of the game, I really, really love that idea.
Yeah.
It dictates this kind of dialogue of escalation.
Yeah. From a casual player perspective, I enjoyed it because I played my role. I was on Deej named all the teams. Well, actually, we all chose our own
We
names,
all chose our teams, yeah.
we were called Planet Mesa Dado, because it was me, Holtzman from Planet Destiny, and Dado. And my role amongst these two PvP beasts was to be the anchor, and I was running a Sunsinger Warlock the whole time. So my role was really to get some kills here and there, but really let them push forward while I'm sticking to really making sure that I'm calling out, as well as reviving if needed, and as well as saving my self-res, which a couple times came in really, really handy as for like a clutch moment.
And my team was the House of Peasants, with myself, More Console, and RX Gaming, and this was quickly renamed the International House of Peasants by I think it was either Harold Ryan or Pete Parsons who came in and edited it. I'm not sure. Deej came over and notified us.
Yeah.
But it's a nice IHOP reference for you guys who get it. The one thing I will say as well is that in our team, Alan and Alex will constantly go on and they'll say that my role was to carry the team through our games, but in reality the two of them did way better than estimated. But it does bring up a really important point. I had on my team 2 players who were sort of a little bit more casual in the Crucible than I am, only due to the fact that I'm like much more hardcore than they are.
Right.
And they had KDs over 1, I think Alan's about 1.5, I think Alex is about the same, but my KD was 2.1 or so on Warlock. So here's the thing, the minute that you consider that and the fact that we went up against your team, I think Dado's KD is about 1.9 or 2. I'm not sure about Holtzman, but he seemed about the same level. And I know you are proclaimed to be lower than average player.
1.1. That's it. I'm proud of my 1.1. It hasn't moved in 6 months.
Okay, slightly above average then. But it brings up this really interesting idea that the average of all of your players put together is way more important than just like having the most skilled guy on your team.
Right.
Yeah, because it's, you guys were much more consistent, and as a result, you only had to take me down, and then the other two guys, I think it's either a lack of confidence or just they play less, they're not as good, and then it's just far easier for you lot to conquer as a group. Not to mention, 3 versus 1s don't work out in anybody's favor. You need a super in order to change that.
Yeah, because that's why I definitely was surprised that Planet Mesa Dado made it all the way to the end to face Bungie, and we almost won, but they had, of course, miss 5,000 watts on their team, and if you know her out there, guys, she just she looks at you in the Crucible, and you die instantly. But
she makes me feel scared. She is far, far, far better at Crucible than I can even imagine, and it's terrifying.
Yeah,
she is a true Crucible shock.
She is just a surgeon with any weapon she does. I mean, I've seen videos where she like goes through all the different weapons, and even the horrible guns she'll go and still kick total ass with. So another thing also to point out is overtime. That was another thing that also really like adds to the tension, is when if the timer is going down and you haven't killed, or the two teams haven't killed each other yet, a control point will then spawn in the middle of the map. Do you know, was that random or was it always in the same spot?
I have no idea, because I only ever saw it happen once.
Okay.
Because in all other instances, our team was either annihilated or we annihilated the enemy far too quickly for it to even reach it. But there was that one round between our team, actually. This was the game that decided you guys would go on to the finals. We had just this horrible, horrible instance of me running around the map trying to avoid you guys, and then eventually, reviving other teammates, and it just went back and forth, and it was horrible. And then Shax eventually says, go ahead, and if you can't kill the enemy team, capture the zone.
Capture the zone. Yeah.
And then eventually, I don't know what the metric they use to actually award the final point is. If you fail to capture the zone within overtime, then it just awards it to a random team. Now, Dado and I did a few calculations, and we had calculated that my team was killed more by your team, but we got more revives. So I wonder what it calculates. Does it calculate map present? Does it just say, oh, these guys have lower score or something? How does it do it? That's my big question.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's really interesting that you bring that up. In the gameplay I'm going to use for my full Trials review, there's a part where the control point spawns. Both of my teammates are dead. I'm controlling it. I get killed. I self-res, kill the other two last team member, enemy team. They both die, but then you see in the left corner it says Bravo team wins by decision. And I think it's because I didn't capture the control point. And I think they might have won maybe it was based on revive, because we were all kind of shocked because I had killed the last two team members on the control point, but I didn't capture the control point. So the decision went over to them. Not exactly sure how the decisions work, but maybe it does take into consideration the revives points and stuff like that.
That's something that I think I'll leave for the time being because it's such a small issue. But if I'm going to summarize from a competitive player's perspective, the Trials is going to be something you dig every week. It's going to, I think they were trying to create a activity in PvP that is worthy of rivaling a raid.
Right.
It requires planning, it requires some kind of coordinated team effort, and I think that Trials is a really good match to that. I feel like it really does put two competent teams against each other, because you have to enter in a fire team, right?
Right, there is no matchmaking for teammates.
Yeah, and in doing that, you then have this super competitive environment. Everybody is on an even footing because there's no randos in there, there's no blueberries, so to speak. Everybody on your team is going to be people you've chosen to go into the Trials with. And frankly, the fact that you always have the entry every single week, and the fact that your victory will put you in a position where you can get better loot, not only puts it on a comparison point to the raids with a merit-based system, but
Yeah.
it finally means that people who are good at PvP are actually going to get rewarded. None of this nonsense of bottom player on the team gets a freaking yellow horn. None of that. It's going to be, if you can beat these guys and if you can whoop their ass 5-0, you win. You get a trials point. That win is going on your record, and you're going to, the more you win, the better prizes you get.
Yeah, exactly. And just to summarize, guys, for the average casual players, I'm going to say this, okay? Go with good people, or try to at least have 1 to 2 people. If you're like me, which means I'm going to be knocking on KJ Hovey and MTash's door saying, guys, can you please take me through this? But, you know, just know your role, and if you're average, you don't want to go in there with, say, 2 other average people, because you got to know, first off, power does matter, so level advantages are turned on for
very
trials.
good point to note,
so,
very good point.
You know, you got to be, well, I mean, there's probably not that much of a difference between a 34 and 33, but again, go with your A game, go with your best gear, go with your highest light level character, and if you're a casual, definitely try to team up with some people that are above your skill level or what you feel comfortable with. So anyway, guys, so that's it. So drop a like on this video, only if you see fit. Make sure you check out Byf's channel, link will be in the description, and follow me on Twitter at MesaSean. Check out Byf's Twitter, that will also be in the description. And that's it. You stay beautiful, Guardians. Say goodbye, Byf.
Porodacia Rastra, I'll see you starside.